Hi, welcome to Beyond Something, presented to you by Epignosis TV. I'm your host, Okoye. The first episode on this series, we discuss salvation, which is the basic and the core of our faith. In the house today, we have, an honorable man of God, a pastor in training, a pastor in service, who we believe so much on his calling, and we believe so much in his ministry. He's a man of God, passionate about ministry. Therefore, the word is upon him, and of course, we strongly believe that every word that comes out of his mouth has faith.
My name is Alana from Shady.
I'd like us to talk about your salvation in spirit first.
All right. Like a decade ago, to be precise, 2015. That's 10 years ago. I gave my life to Christ under the shepherd of Reverend Dada. He was my church pastor then. He preached a simple message on God's love.
Mhm.
Then we are still teenagers.
Mhm.
So I perceive in my heart that the Lord is saying it's time to give your life to me. So I boldly raised up my hand after his preaching when he did the call of salvation. I raised my hands up and I gave my life to Christ that day. And since then, I've been going, still going into maturity.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I want to ask us, permit you to say this in Yoruba. Yoruba money, and to go in the last week to I would like to ask if you have any discipline or spiritual authority.
Yes, I have. And he is the under shepherd of Strong Tower Access Church, Reverend Dr. Paul Akoluye Benjamin. And of course, I still have some fathers that they are also like a disciple to me, apart from him as my disciple. For example, Reverend Dr. Matthew Aremu, the shepherd of Yavia Baptist Church, Reverend David Dada, all these people, they are my people I can walk up to, people that can correct me, and people that can encourage me to continue in Christ. So I have many, but I have particular one.
Okay, so there's a father, you have a father, but you have dad.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. All right. As we proceed, we'd like to know what is discipleship. What exactly is discipleship?
Right. Discipleship is just a process, long-time process, lifelong process of becoming like Christ. It means that it's not one-time based. It's what you do on a daily basis. So discipleship is the process of becoming like Christ. The ultimate purpose of God for every believer is to become like Christ. It's one of the standard purpose.
So it's a journey, it's not just wisdom.
Yes, it's a journey.
It's not something one can do.
It's not one time. It's not one time.
Not like, okay, I need to about the next 5 years, next 4 years, I'm out.
You don't have expiring date in discipleship.
Okay, thank you. So we'd like to know what is the spiritual growth? The topic was a journey of the spiritual growth. What is our spiritual growth?
Right, as I said earlier, one of the ultimate God's purpose for every believer is to grow into maturity.
The next question is what is the biblical concept of discipleship?
Okay, I would love to dwell on the biblical concept of discipleship because there are several biblical concepts of discipleship, even from scriptures. There are a lot of them from the scriptures. Number one, discipleship is just like a student to a learner to teacher process. For example, Jesus called the 12 that they might be with him. In being with Jesus, they know what Jesus was. They study the life of Jesus. They know what to do per time per season. They know, as a matter of fact, and that's what makes the disciple to continue the ministry of Jesus. Because they have been with him. They know the mind of Christ. They know what he wants. They know what he wants them to do per time per season. And you will believe with me that the essence of you going to school, one, is that we will become what the Lord wants us to be. For example, to know our purpose, to know our way to work now, be and the like. But it's like a teacher to learner process. It means that when you go to school, you do about the learner planning. your lecturer imparted something in your life that you personally you can practice them. Same thing with me. When I go to school, my lecturer, my teacher impart something in our life so that we can practice them. So it's like a teacher to learner process. And it's not one time thing like, okay, I'm going to primary school from primary 1 to primary 5, then that's all. No, it's a process that is an ending process. It's long-term process, lifelong process. So it's not what you say, okay, for 3 years, I want to just enroll in this class. Then as a matter of fact, in university, IS, IBS, 6 years. If you do medicine and surgery, you use 7 years. But in discipleship, it's just like a student to learner, like a student to teacher. There is no that I'm graduating. You have to be there. You have to be there. You have to. Discipleship is just like, let me say, it's an apprentice to what do they call apprentice? Apprentice is all that learn on that. Apprentice process to master. Yes. The essence of people are learning tailor is that you can even know more better than your boss. Of course, we have seen so many apprentices that they learn under their boss and they even know more than their boss. So, but in discipleship, just like apprentice to a master process. So you learn to become even more than your master. So in discipleship, it's just like you submit under your master, he teach you, he correct you, he rebuke you, and these are things embedded in discipleship. In discipleship, the Lord will correct you. In discipleship, you will be rebuked. You will be corrected. And that's the reason why discipleship is very important to us. Another one, discipleship involves a direct encounter and interaction with the master. When I mean a direct encounter with the master, it means that discipleship is not that you cannot talk to your master. There is a direct and interaction. That means you can ask your master anything. And that's how you see Peter, you always ask Jesus questions. The disciples generally, they ask Jesus questions. After Jesus have teach publicly, when they are in secret, they ask, Master, why do you use this parable? Why do you ask these questions? So the reason is just like a process by which you interact directly with your master. A process by which you can ask your master any questions. Like I can ask my spiritual father, okay, how do you do this? As a matter of when I want to enter seminary, my spiritual father called me, said, you are going to seminary. Don't fast during the time of academic session. It's just like telling me one of the things that can help me. When you enter seminary, don't fast. When you are in holiday, you can fast. But when you that have class from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, you don't need to fast. You that have assignment to do, you don't need to fast. So in discipleship, there is a direct interaction with the master. Let me say one. Another one is discipleship is one of the process of reproducing or impressing the life of master. For example, if Christ say, let me use the example of the disciple in the Bible. In the book of Acts, chapter 11, before they can call the disciple little Christ, because they have seen one of the character. Then these ones, they are little Christ. The even scripture says they are on school, they are on learn. But the way they live their life, the way they do things, is because there has been a reproduction of Jesus' life in them. So discipleship, there are all these concepts in discipleship. Is one of the ways to reproduce the life of Christ in us. So it means that, let me use another example. A orange tree cannot produce mango fruit. No way. Because you cannot reproduce what you don't have. And that's what discipleship is. The life of Christ, they reproduce the character, the life of Christ in them. And that's why you see in the book of Acts, they did excellently well. They said this one, they are on school. They did not go to school. They speak like Christ. They do things like Christ. And they call them little Christ. Let me stop there because maybe there is another. In fact, this question is related to one of the questions we discussed in our open forum in school this week. Like, this nowadays, if saying someone probably in UK, US, said the discipler is in Nigeria, and the person, just as likely like the questions, the person asks, okay, how do we know that truly discipleship is taking place? Are they really learning? I would love to say that Though someone outside may not see the downfall, or the downtime, the uptime, the challenges his disciple is going through. But let me say that if a disciple is willing to learn, definitely a disciple outside in a long distance relationship will surely be learning too. What are the process attached to it? It means that as a disciple, you must make sure you and your discipler communicate often, and you must not keep secret. Though you may not see your discipler downtime, uptime, some challenges, a lot of things going around, but there's a place of openness as a disciple to your discipler. A place of openness. When you open, many times our generation we like not to be open. You understand? That means there is a part of your life you section that, okay, I will not tell him about this. I will not tell him about my relationship matter. I will not tell him about my academics.
He does not have to know.
He doesn't have to know. He doesn't have to know. Then just cancel me about spiritual aspect alone. Let him cancel. Let her cancel me on spiritual aspect alone. If you are open to him or to her as a disciple, at least you will learn. And let me also say that a disciple, one of the concepts of discipleship is that a discipleship should be a father to son relationship. It means that you can be my discipler. I've seen myself as a son to you. It means that I can come to you anytime, ask you anything, anytime. I can relate anything to you at any point of time. Even if you are not online, I can drop message for you. I can call you. I can drop voice note for you. It must be a father to son relationship, and that will help a lot. Make you to learn. Your father can rebuke you as a son anytime. He can correct you at a time anytime. He can encourage you. He can say, so when it's like that, the father to son relationship, and when there is a place of openness, truly, if that person, another thing I want to say is, if I ready to submission. In our generation, I discovered that submission is one of our problems. A lot of problems. The fact that you are in a long distance relationship with your discipler does not mean you are not learning, or you will not learn if you are ready to submit. So I talk about openness, I talk about father to son relationship, and I talk about submission. If truly a disciple can do this, no matter the distance, no matter the long distance, let me even say long distance, you will truly learn, because there is a way you keep your communication intact. So I believe this will help.
How can discipleship enhance spiritual growth?
Okay. One of the way discipleship, a lot of ways actually. One of the way discipleship enhance spiritual growth is because when you subject yourself to discipleship, you know the mind of God, you know the mind of God, you know the mind of Christ, you know what He wants you to do, you know what He wants for you, you even know the will of God for your life. And by you subjecting yourself to discipleship, you're able to correct yourself. One of the things discipleship does is that there is a place of correction, there is a place of rebuke, and discipleship will enhance your spiritual growth because you're able to know this is what the Lord wants from you. This is what Scripture says. We cannot, when we talk about discipleship, we cannot let God's word outside. It is very important. When you subject yourself to discipleship, you check the Scriptures, you know the mind of God for your life. It helps you to grow. You know what to do per time, per season. You know what to do. You know what to say when you are in the situations. You know next step to take. So discipleship enhance. Let me even say that one of the things that is hindering our Christianity or our believer to grow this day is discipleship, because people are not ready to subject themselves to discipleship.
Everybody wants to become a boss.
You want to become a boss on your own. So discipleship will enhance our spiritual because we know the mind of Christ. And in Baptist, we have so many discipleship classes. Starting from 6 basic lesson, follow the master life, in God's presence, experiencing growth. A lot of them like that. When you undergo at their stages, you cannot go to one class until
you finish one.
And that's why I say it's a process. It's a lifelong process.
One block over.
Though we know that one is just like a program discipleship, but at least there's an impact coming to our life through it. So when you subject yourself to discipleship, you know the mind of God. You know what He wants you to do. And it even give you energy to do more, to grow more. I say, okay, this is what the Lord wants for me. You say you are a believer, you are going to church. As a matter of fact, I've been in church for 30 years, 40 years before I was born, and you are still going out to do some things we should not hear about a believer doing. That person is not going. Is not going. So, one of the ways that we make discipleship to enhance our spiritual growth is when we subject ourselves, you know the mind of God. And through scriptures, you know what to do per time, per season, you know the will of God for your life. It will help you to grow. Now, let me say that when we talk about spiritual growth in our kingdom, it's not what is. It's not tedious. Spiritual growth in our kingdom is not tedious. It's what I've experienced. It means that you can say you give your life to Christ today, within 6 months, you can grow more than someone that has been in church for past 20 years, saying I give my life to Christ, I come to church, let me say Sunday to Sunday, just come to Bible study, does not concern me. Let me just live my life anyhow. That person will grow more than that person has been in church for past 20 years, because that person subjects himself or herself to discipleship. So when we subject ourselves to discipleship, we grow. And I said it again, growth, spiritual growth in our kingdom is not something tedious. If you can give your time to discipleship, give your time to God's word, give your time to prayer, give your time to the fellowship of the brethren, you know the fellowship of the brethren, you will grow. So it's not something tedious.
What make a discipleship? What make discipleship a journey?
Okay. What make a discipleship a journey? I'll tell you two things. One is the process. I said it earlier. It's not one time. It's not a day. And when we call something that is not a day, it's a journey. It means it's a journey. It means it's not what you say, I want to do now. Tomorrow I'm not doing again. It's a life journey. It's a lifelong journey. It means that discipleship, you be under discipleship till you die. So it means that as a believer, God is expecting us to be under discipleship, to be under Him as we journey our life on a daily basis. That means it's not a one-time process. It's a line upon line, precept upon precept. So, as Isaiah 28, verse 10 to 11 said it, precept upon precept, line upon line, is not what you do now and say, I'm not doing again. It's not like, okay, it's 4 year duration, you're using 4 years here. No, it's a lifelong process. And that's why you see in the life of Jesus and the disciples, after Jesus has ascended to heaven, they still keep following Him. To the extent that after Jesus is not there, they will say, this one, they are little Christ. They are like Christ. They see Christ. No, this one, they are like, no, it's like Christ. So, discipleship is a process. It's not what I will say I'm doing now, and I'm not doing again. It's not what I will say I'm doing now, and I'm not doing again. And that's the expectation of God for all of us, believer, all of us as a believer, is that we be on that discipleship. Because when we are in discipleship, we know His mind, we know His will. And you see nowadays, many of us, many Christians, you let me use many. Don't let me say many of us. Christianity today, or believer today, we have seen that we struggle with God's will because we don't know His will. Even many people don't even know His will. Because it is under discipleship that you know the mind of God, you know His will for you. And now you see a believer coming to church, a believer giving your life to Christ for 30 years, and you can't still distinguish between the will of God and your will, because discipleship is lacking. So discipleship is a lifelong process, is a long-term process. Not that I'm using 5 years, I'm using 10 years. No, it's something God expects us to be. We saw the disciples, they are under Jesus for 3 years and are doing His ministry. But when Jesus left, they still subjected to His will. To the extent that people consider these people, they are little Christ, they are like Christ. They have been with Jesus. Christ was evident in their life. So, and that's the expectation of God, of Christ, that when you are going on the street, you say, I don't go where Christ is evident in your life. Christ, truly, this one is a believer. Forget about the church is going. No, we can say that this person is a believer. So to that extent is what God expects us to do in discipleship. All right, one of the ways to engage oneself in discipleship, for anyone that will engage himself or herself in discipleship, that person, let me even talk about that person, the position the person must be ready to submit. Submission is very important. In fact, I will talk about the ways to engage, but submission is very important. So first thing, if you engage yourself in discipleship, is that you must be able to recognize the mind of God. Who is your discipler going to be? Who is my discipler going to be? Before I submit myself under Reverend Taiwo Aboye, I was able to check, is it truly the person the Lord want me to be under? So the first thing, the first position you must know is to know the mind of God on who the person is, or who the Lord is saying, okay, submit under this person. So after that, you must be able to approach that person. The Lord, I perceive the Lord is saying, I should come and submit myself under him. So that means a discipler must be someone you can approach. You know, these days, many of us will say we have disciples and we can't even reach our discipler on WhatsApp. Many people say, I'm apostle on side is my discipler. Whereas when you want to get contact with him, and there are many people like that say, Bola is my discipler. Whereas you only listen to his message. Of course. There is not even a direct contact with him. You don't even have his WhatsApp number. You don't even have his phone number to even call him. So it must be someone you can walk up to, someone you can see on a daily basis, or someone you can get access to. Not someone you say, okay, I believe today, if you want to see Reverend Tolu Agbola, Apostle Agbola, there are some protocol you will have to take before you see him.
Except you have direct contact.
Unless you have direct contact. So I'm saying that, and I'm not saying there's no people under him as disciples too. Of course, they are. I'm saying that if you, as a believer, you want to choose who your discipler is, it's going to be someone you get access to, someone you can approach.
Accessibility is important.
It's very important. Someone that can rebuke you, that you not say, you are rage it now. Why do you go like that? Someone that can correct you, that you not get angry. Someone that can tell you, do not do this, and you don't do it. Someone you can obey to. So after that, you know the mind of God on who the person is. Someone you can submit, someone you can obey, someone that will rebuke you, that you not even say, okay, this is what the Lord wants to do. So apart from that, you must be ready to submit yourself under the person. Submission again. So the person that call you say, okay, meet me in seminary now.
No excuse.
No excuse.
Straight up.
Someone that can call you and say, okay, come, I want to see you. I perceive this is what the Lord wants you to see. And let me say, the utmost or the highest discipler is God. It's God. It's Christ. It means that there are some things you must notice in the life of your discipler too. You must check the way that discipler, the way he or she is living her life. You see, truly this one is a believer. You know, there are some people who say they are believer and their life does not show that they are truly believers. So you must able to check personally, give them time, check their life, and truly that this person is he truly a believer. You must be able to see some things, you must be able to notice something and say, no, truly, okay, I can learn one or two things from this person is a believer. So when you put all these things in place, it will really help. And apart from that, in our own denomination, we have some discipleship programs like, okay, follow the master license, basic lesson. You can also engage yourself in that program. You can say, okay, I want to do discipleship, follow the master. I really want to give myself to God. Before you subject yourself onto a discipler, you must have tested their lifestyle too. You must have tested, okay, this is the way they live their life. Are these people, are they really a believer? You must have based or weighed their life on the standard of the scriptures. You can't call your disciple and say, take your job, and can I come to your house today? and said, we know they have some, we know they have no come. That means there is no accessibility.
Of course, there's no accessibility.
Don't even come this month, this year. No, just drop what you want to discuss on WhatsApp. No, there is no accessibility. So a disciple is someone you can approach to, and there are so many things we have said: place of submission, place of obedience, place of knowing the mind of God. That okay, this is the person they don't want me to be online. And after that, you must be able to test, weigh the life of that person based on the standard of the scriptures. When you do that, and don't forget I said too that our churches, most especially our denominations, they are discipleship program you can subject yourself to, follow the master, serve the master, and those things they help too. They make us grow too. Even as a pastor seminar, we do discipleship. So there are things, and even at churches, there are some believers that you can walk up to, that you can weigh their life on the standard of the scriptures and say, no, truly this one they are believer. They are believer, and I can subject my life unto them. And if you can do that as a someone I want to grow, it's really helpful.
I love in my church. I always want to miss right from time as baptized even up till now. I always want to miss
without any script, your service is
not
complete.
I always say that.